11 might be, and 10 might be, and then 9 might be, I don't know, oh. And then 12, I don't know what 12 could be. What did he say before? The future. something.
This came about because I was incredibly stuck for ideas. I had tried a couple of ideas over the course of the months that the competition was open, the opportunity was open, and I just couldn't nail anything down. And quite close to the deadline, I was speaking with a friend of mine. We were both entering the competition, and his idea had just arrived, and I was busy saying to him, I'm having such difficulty with this. Why can't there just be a shop that we can go into and buy our ideas? And that's when it all fell into place.
It's hard to know quite what advice you can give any writer except never forget to be yourself. I think that the thing that distinguished Ben's script and the other really good scripts that we read is that people were using the Doctor Who format to tell stories that they wanted to tell specifically, rather than things that they thought would fit nicely into the Doctor Who universe and might appeal to Big Finish, which means that they might win.
Yes.
Ben's script feels so personal, not emotionally personal in every step, but personal in a way of, this is obviously a story that appealed to his comic sensibility.
My reaction to the script at first was, this is a great script. Aww. And I'm not just saying that. I was saying to Nick Briggs before that some scripts just really flow and they're so easy to read. So it makes my job a whole lot easier and a whole lot more fun as well when you get to play these characters. Like, you sort of see as these sort of like jelly-like creatures and shark-headed beasts. They really stick out in my mind, and that was my first reaction, was just how well developed and how easy it was to picture this world was.
A lot of entries that we got equated drama to people are dying. And in fact, drama can be as simple as someone really wants a cup of tea, and it's the way that you tell it. And we had so many stories that were based around death and time travel and trying to people dying and inevitable deaths. And because we've read so many of them, you see that as a pattern, and people think, I'm being very dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, there's a problem actually with putting too much death and too much high drama into a short space.
In a way, it's a story of manipulation. The Doctor doesn't appear massively until about halfway through, and I thought, is this right for 7? But I think that 12 has quite a manipulative quality to him that people don't always appreciate. It comes across with his, I'd say, quite dry sense of humour.
I think the 12th Doctor in particular can be, like you say, quite manipulating and almost hypnotic in some ways, in the way that he speaks to people and the way that he sort of can get them to do his bidding. And I think that, that's really interesting.
I think that the joy about actually hearing the best laid plans being recorded now is that it's actually really good. When I read the pitch, of course, you're reading a synopsis and part of the story, and there's still that sort of underlying fear, maybe, that it will just go in a really weird direction and make no sense. But what's great about Ben's script is it's so funny and it's so original. I mean, what I love is that I keep sometimes doubting that you can find new ways of telling Doctor Who stories, and then this one comes out and just knocks it out of the park. And I've been sitting, hearing it as it's been recorded, and it's so much fun, and it's so touching too.
12th Doctor's voice, I find more difficult to do than the 10th and 11th, and now 9th, that we've done the 9th today as well. It's really fascinating, and I think Peter Capaldi has one of those voices that you can only impersonate.
Relative macromizing, he said, relishing every syllable. You see, it's possible to scale up every object by a certain ratio. But physics, often gravity, will glance in its direction and demand to know what on earth it thinks it's doing and hold it at an upper boundary. How can you circumnavigate that? What if I want a hot dog the size of the Empire State Building? He frowned. Actually, the question is why I'd want a hot dog in the first place. But anyway, this is where the quantum aspect of the quantum macromizer comes in.
So sort of try and grasp the essence of his voice that I can, whilst also appreciating the fact that I'm a 22-year-old trying to play a 60-year-old Glaswegian. So there's not, I'm not aiming for 100% accuracy. And I think that David Bradley, when he played the first Doctor, said something really interesting about trying to not completely like impersonate this character. He was obviously William Hartnell, but instead to really try and dig into what they were all about and then put your own spin on it. So that's what I was sort of trying to do.
It's been a joyous day. I mean, Jake's been on great form. Everyone's been really enjoying it. And yeah, bless Jake. There's a lot of alien names, which actors always have fun with.
Yeah.
And he really went to town with them.
Lots of great characters.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous.
Lots of great voices.
So they've got the whole sort of gamut of emotions, and Ben is just been a delight to work with from start to finish. Really easy, takes notes very well, does them very quickly. If people are looking for writing tips, take notes well and do them quickly.
Yes.
And it's just, even now I'm hearing it, I am hearing it for the first time, but I've been reading it over and over again. The jokes are still funny. The pathos still gets to you.
Yeah.
It's a delight.
And it has great rhythm. I mean, this is the thing which you try and speak to writers about, actually, is that what really tells them apart from each other is if they've got their own genuine sense of style. And Ben's rhythm is funny and just very, very natural. And hearing it being recorded and hearing the way that Jake responded to that was great fun. I've not actually had such a good time in a Big Finish recording session in 20 years. Genuinely true. I loved it. It was great. It was really good fun.
I loved writing when I was younger, and I started getting more into the films. I thought for a long time that films, especially, were what I wanted to do. Not just write, but the whole production side of it. But I think it was only quite recently that I settled on writing as the main thing that I want to do, not just one of a couple of things I'd like to do. Winning this competition was completely unreal. I suppose I said to Alfie earlier that up until the moment that I actually stepped into the studios here, I was terrified that this was just some elaborate prank.
That's the sort of thing they do.
There was also a really joyous moment when Jake was reading out the titles. And it's like, the best laid plans by Ben Teds, and Ben just sat there and grinned from ear to ear, and it makes you feel so happy and warm
fully
inside.
Deservedly too.
Absolutely,
that's a great moment. Yeah.
Probably the very first thing that I wrote as me and my mindset going, maybe I could write in future, was a Doctor Who script. So to go from that as just like this dream to sitting here today, having the lovely Jake read my story and it going out to all of you, which is still mind-blowing. It's incredible, and I thank everyone at Big Finish for this opportunity, because it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
You should download the Best Laid Plans today, because it is a witty, just a fantastic ride of a story with a strong emotional core, and is unlike any other Doctor Who story that you've ever seen or heard before.